This video is going to be a film study look at Nnamdi Madubuike, who just had his most impactful game of 2024 in Week 10 against the Bengals. He put up 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 5 tackles overall in the Ravens' 35-34 win. In 2 games against Cincinnati in 2024, he's got 4 sacks, 9 tackles, and 3 TFLs. Against the rest of the NFL, that's 8 other games this year, he's got 1 total sack and 12 tackles. That's in 8 other games, like I said. For whatever reason, in 2024, he just opens up against the Bengals O-line. We need that against, well, everybody, but we need that more often against teams other than just Cincinnati. If you compare his year to last year, has it been underwhelming? Is he behind his pace of play? Well, yes, absolutely. Through 10 games this year, he's got 5 sacks, 11 quarterback hits, and 21 tackles overall. The activity level is definitely different. Through 10 games of 2023, he had 24 tackles, 17 quarterback hits, 8.5 sacks. We're still within the range there, but he's behind his pace clearly through 10 games. Going forward, though, he's a guy that could change the Ravens' defense. He could change the effectiveness of the Ravens' defense, particularly in known passing situations. Some more organic wins, basically. And I'll show you 2 of them here in this video. One, I think, is just related to hand placement. One loss early on, I think is just related to hand placement, and he fixes that issue later on in the game. I do think there's some times where he's playing a little bit higher than I would like him to be, but he was a force of nature against Cincinnati's O-line, gave them trouble. If we get many more games from the Bengals O-line in terms of protection, like you saw on Thursday night against the Ravens, I worry about Joe Burrow's ability to stay healthy the rest of the year. Taking 13 quarterback hits, 20 pressures, that's too much for any quarterback. There's very few can get out of as much trouble as he did. We certainly have a guy who could get out of more trouble in Lamar Jackson. Travis Jones returning definitely had an impact, don't get me wrong. Pierce returning from IR eventually will also benefit this defense. I still think there's some limitations. When those guys weren't there, let's put it that way, when Travis Jones and Pierce weren't there, there's some definite athletic limitations on the inside. Like I said, Madubuike's had his pretty much best games, best moments against Cincinnati. This is a stunt in Week 5 on the road underneath. This is critical. It's about 1:40 left in the game when the ball was snapped. And it's a stunt between him and Ojabo. And we're just occupying the center. So basically the center opens up the lane, opens up the gap. I don't show you the end zone angle here, but Broderick Washington's going to occupy the center, and this is actually pretty easy, the way it gets executed away from the back. Ojabo is going to go upfield, and then Madubuike is going to fold underneath. I like us doing this way, in this manner, because when Madubuike gets on those tracks, he doesn't get dislodged from those tracks as easily as our edge defenders, who are a little bit lighter, a little bit taller. So when they run that stunt, basically lining up outside, stunting to the inside, they can be pushed off their tracks a little bit easier. So keep that in mind as we get through the video, and I'll show you a couple of plays where we were able to get, quote, pressures, but not finish the play as an edge defender. This is a run stop for 1 yard against Chase Brown in the first quarter. It's a 1st and 10. So things haven't gotten out of control yet from a defensive standpoint. And he's getting combo blocked. A little bit high in his takeoff, if you ask me, by the center and the guard. The tackle is working up to Trenton Simpson. Wait till you see the end zone angle of this one, see what Simpson does to this tackle. But Madubuike, credit to him for staying, quote, in his gap, even though he gave ground a little bit. But he gets his right foot, his cleats back in the ground. You can't see it because of Simpson's body's in the way. But underneath there is where Madubuike's cleats are on the ground. So he's dug in, and he can plant and then stay with a stable base. Travis Jones is also involved. Like I said, it's a 1-yard gain. They don't invest in the run game enough. I know that it's not tremendously effective, but when you put Burrow in 56 situations to throw the football, you should expect a certain number of quarterback hits, a certain amount of beating to be taken on his body in any situation. We were able to get after him perhaps percentage points higher than we have been in certain situations against other quarterbacks this year for whatever reason. As I said earlier, I wonder about their ability to continue, their willingness to protect him moving forward. So same play, end zone angle. You're going to get a combo block here. The tackle's going to inside release up to Simpson. Just wait till you see what Simpson does to him. Madubuike, credit to him for handling this combo. It's not necessarily a double team. It is a double team off the jump. I think he's a little high, letting the center get into his chest. But he's got great contact balance, great hips, and great foot strength. And there you see that foot in the ground, like I said, basically anchoring him down, not letting the guard overtake him in that A-gap that he's responsible for. Simpson is also fitting outside of that. You see Van Noy's been cut by Gesicki, who is one of my least favorite players across the NFL at tight end at this point. But watch what Simpson does when this tackle releases to the inside. It's called an inside release, essentially to make it to the edge defender. Can't touch you. And Simpson just makes him whiff. And then folds inside. Now, I think Madubuike and Travis Jones probably have this handled, but Simpson making that juke and closing this down, essentially into the C-gap, is what doesn't allow the running back to bounce this back to the outside. Like I said, it's a 1-yard gain for Chase Brown, who was relatively ineffective throughout the whole night in terms of the run game. Going to move forward to the second quarter. It's going to be his first sack. This one reminds me of the chase down sack against C.J. Stroud last year in week 1. It doesn't occur as far behind the line of scrimmage. In fact, in live time, I thought, okay, was that actually a sack? And I didn't realize the ball popped out as far as it did. I thought that I saw something on the sideline in terms of the ball, but I didn't realize it was this far distended from Burrow's grasp. So Van Noy's going inside here, and I'm not sure if this is designed for Madubuike or not, because he does appear to put a move on at the beginning of the play, but the way that it works out is such that if Burrow escapes out the back door left side, then Madubuike is able to go and be a part of that secondary contain. Again, he's putting a move on initially, so I don't know that this is intentional, but it's the way that it functions or the way that it works out on the field. You have to kind of talk about Cincinnati's 0-2 personnel and passing situations, so no running backs on the field, 2 tight ends. I don't know what 87 is. I mean, I guess he's considered a receiver. Functionally, the routes that he runs are tight end routes, so I called this 0-2 with these 2 guys and no running backs on the field. It is a limitation of their roster, if you ask me, that they have no running back that is worthy of them putting him out on the field to catch passes and convert first down. So think Justice Hill or even Keaton Mitchell, a guy that you can put on the field that's explosive and gets the ball in his hands, going to make people miss. Neither one of those guys offers that dynamic, so I think there's something to be said about what they have on their roster, why they acquired Herbert from the Bears, and maybe what they'll draft next year. So Madubuike coming off here, I think he's trying to move to get to the inside. It's also possible he's just trying to occupy the guard in the center. I do think there's a little bit of gamesmanship sometimes with these pass rush guys on the inside or the outside, such that they're told not to win or they're told to win to a particular side, and keep that concept or that dynamic in mind as we get through the video. But this is one that I look at, and it, to me, almost looks like he's intentionally slow playing this, a little bit like we did with Bo Nix the week before. Still second quarter, an organic loss here for Madubuike against the left guard. This is going to be Chase's touchdown, so don't get triggered. We certainly need to win more of these. And part of this is Madubuike, I think, not being able to get his hands to the side he wants, his hands inside to the side where he wants to win. So we will watch the entirety of the play here in a moment. Ojabo going against the left tackle, trying to chop down, just isn't able to generate enough force here. Madubuike's been stood up. I think it's because the guard has his hands on the inside. Madubuike does readjust, try to get his hands to the inside. It's too late. Burrow's able to step up, clean pocket, complete it to Chase against our cover 3, and he's gone. We'll run it back a couple of times here with Madubuike so you can see what I'm talking about and then compare it to a rush that he wins later on. All right, I'm doing this intentionally so you can see it multiple times. Forgive me if the frames are stuttering or anything like that. Let's pull it back just a little bit. Right off the jump, you can see that the guard has his hand on the inside. Madubuike, I think, has his hand underneath the armpit, obscured from us, obviously, but when you get the resetting, you can see that the guard's hand is on the inside of Madubuike. So it may have been a win-win there in terms of who got their hands on the inside. Keep this in mind for a rush that you'll see later from Madubuike where he wins. Kind of adjust his hand placement. I'd like to see us do those things more earlier in the game is essentially what I'm saying. This is second quarter. We've had enough time to prep for these specific players at the offensive line position and know what moves that work against them, and I don't think we should have to adjust later on. So this is it's still 7-7 in the second quarter. The Bengals are going to score 2 plays from now, by the way. Very quizzical decisions by Joe Burrow previous to this, but I'll cover that in another video. Here is Madubuike. This is a stunt with him and Owe. So talking about that sack that Madubuike had against the Bengals in Week 5. Watch this rush with him and Owe and how, I don't want to say easily, but how much more simple it is to redirect our edge rushers. You can see that Madubuike's done the Pernell McPhee move and hooked underneath the guard, kind of a trigger to let you know that it's a designed loss by Madubuike, basically giving himself up to occupy the guard, who nonetheless peels off and is able to get Owe out of there. Maybe Madubuike lets go a little bit too early, and that's the issue, but you can get called for defensive holding. I actually think that's a BS call, as much as they let offensive linemen grab and hold on, but don't call holding. In any case, Owe gets pushed off of that path. Burrow jumps through, and then Madubuike folds down underneath. From an athletic standpoint, it's a great illustration of what we have in Nnamdi Madubuike, a guy who can win organically against interior guards, centers, guy who can step out to the outside and then stunt to the inside. He's got some wins as an edge defender as well, thinking about the Titans last year in Week 6 out in London. And then he can fold underneath and go get an athletic quarterback who is able to escape the primary rush. Is Joe Burrow as athletic as Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts and others? No, but we saw on Thursday night, he's got tremendous escapability and awareness, and it benefits him in some of those situations. This is third quarter now, and this is a huge play, in my opinion. I think it's a 1st and 10, and Madubuike is going to get an organic win here against the left guard, meaning there's no stunt associated with it. This allows us to get a stop on this series, get the ball back, and 3 plays later, Tylan Wallace scores on an 84-yard touchdown. So this is a huge moment, if you ask me, because look where they are on the 34-yard line. We're able to hold them off and then get a stop that gets us the ball back and allows us to start chewing into that lead. I think it's a big moment, if you ask me, in this game. After Humphrey's forced fumble and then after Lamar's ridiculous run and our short touchdown run by Derrick Henry allowed us to get it to 21-14. This was a big moment. So same matchup, Madubuike a little bit wider against the left guard now on a 1st and 10. This time, that right hand, you can see, is on the inside of the guard, and as a result, the guard, ends up being stood up and almost taken off his posture, and as a result, Madubuike can kind of do what he wants with him from here on out. Almost kind of a little bit of a forklift with his left hand, left shoulder, left hip, and the cleats driving in the ground to upend that guard, fold to the inside. I'll let you guys see it a couple times. I'm comparing it to the move that I called a loss earlier on the pass to Chase, the touchdown pass to Chase. All right, there we go. So you can see the move in its entirety. 67 ends up being dislodged, whereas Madubuike got stood up a little bit on the move that I showed you in the second quarter. Great play, ends up being a loss of 6. We need more of that from him. We can get wins on stunts. We can get wins on designed stuff. We need more wins from Madubuike that look like that one. Matched up against the right guard this time. This is third quarter, and you're going to get, it's going to be Van Noy and Owe on the quarterback hit. Here, Burrow took a beating. That was a physical game. I don't know what his status is. It doesn't sound like there was any serious injuries, but the guy took a bunch of beatings, or a bunch of shots in that game. So what I like about this from a Madubuike standpoint is he is trying a move, and he's being definitive about it. Watch the right hand shoot out, and then the left hand chop down quickly. He's trying to break the posture. He misses. So kind of a glancing blow. I think he actually might hit the face mask a little bit. Right shoulder pad. So right shoulder pad and maybe the face mask. But then he's got a counter off of it. So in terms of him being able to win and get to that 13 sack number from last year. Probably unrealistic, but could he play at that pace the rest of the season? That's what we need. That's one of the things that we need. I mean, Travis Jones has been a big factor there as well, getting to the quarterback sometimes with that hump move. It really works out well when Travis Jones can be lined up on our right side and Madubuike can be lined up on our left side. It seems to me that it might be a case where both of them have better moves from their right. Travis Jones, it's obviously the hump move, if you will, with the right hand, kind of lifting a guy up and then being able to win through that B gap or win through that A gap, whether he's going up against the center or their left guard lined up off our right side. I do think that one thing I want to mention with this with the situation here is that if we're not going to get more organic wins from Madubuike and Travis Jones, this may need to be a defense that brings more designed pressure early in games. It's something I've thought about for a couple of days. My content release or production was delayed a little bit this week, so I had plenty of time to think. And one of the things I believe is that it seems as if our offense is better in the second half, particularly against the Bengals, but also against other teams as well. And now we did pretty much stop playing football against the Bucs 3 weeks ago and take our starters out with 6 minutes, so I don't really count those possessions. But if you look at our touchdowns, our points scored by possession in the last 3, 4, 5 weeks, in the second half alone, it's ridiculous. And I'll have a video out about that hopefully Monday morning for you guys to check out. And so my point in bringing that up is I would like to see us get to the second half sooner. Well, you can't. It's a 60-minute game divided up evenly into 4 15-minute quarters, 2 30-minute halves. What I mean by that is get more plays on the field. And if we go for, I don't want to say go for broke, but if we bring a little bit more design pressure early and give up big plays, there's a part of me that thinks, so what? And another reason why I think that is because of our interior defensive tackle depth right now, Pierce being out, Jones coming back from injury, and hopefully he made it out okay from the Bengals game Thursday night. Seeing our defense get worn down in that first half some with how many plays the Bengals ran is kind of where the origin for this thought came to me. Such that by design, bring a little bit more pressure early in games to see if we can make big plays, get people off schedule. Hopefully we don't give up big plays. That's never going to be the design, give up a 70-yard touchdown. But we're already doing that anyway, playing some of the softer coverages. Our cover 3 gave up at least one big play to Jamar Chase the other night. I know he's a special talent, and he's going to make plays, and he has been in 2024. We, to me, look like the type of team that needs to play to our strengths. And in previous years, it's been ball control the clock, shorten the game to a certain extent. I think we're on the other end of the spectrum in 2024. And it's taken me a while to understand that. I'm not talking about outscoring teams. I'm saying lengthening the game, creating more plays. And one of the ways to do that is to get your defense off the field by either making big plays, getting stops, maybe forcing turnovers, or giving up a touchdown. You may not agree with that assessment, and that's no problem. We all get to have our different opinions. That's the beauty of being able to watch the game. We only get 17 times to watch them play each season, and then hopefully a little bit more in the playoffs. My opinion, to maximize the talent that we have right now would be to bring more 5-man pressures early in games and then play softer coverages as the game moves on, presumably if we're able to get stops, get turnovers, and let our offense get out in front of people, which is the way we want to win football games anyway. Appreciate you guys' time, man. Let me know what you think of the film study of Nnamdi Madubuike, his 3-sack performance against the Bengals. Really brutal game for Joe Burrow. He produced well, played exceptional. If Lamar didn't play as well as he did, then Burrow would probably be a player of the week performance type guy for the AFC. And then let me know what you think of my thoughts about how the Ravens could possibly free up Madubuike and some of our rushers a little bit earlier in games by design to play to the strength of our offense early and late. Appreciate you guys' time. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this film study look at Nnamdi Madubuike's Week 10 performance against the Bengals, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.